My name is 𝗟𝗂𝗄𝗃𝗃, and I'm very, very excited tonight to be facilitator on today's session on the transformative power of mentorship. So I will really maybe just to start off thank the Windsor team for setting up platforms like this, where we get to empower and equip one another with relevant information that better position us to step up and stand out as the theme of this year. They said this year we're stepping up and we're standing out. And I hope by the end of this session, you'll be able to boldly step out and stand out in your discipline or wherever you find yourself, be it personally or professionally, that you get to, show that you know better and you have seen better, so you can do better. So tonight's discussion is really very, very close to my heart. It's obviously mentorship. It's a subject that you can never outgrow it. It's invaluable, and I've personally witnessed the profound impact of mentorship, and what it can do in one's life and career. And I think my journey with formal mentorship really started when I joined Women in Mining mentorship cohort in the year 2022. The program itself provided me with, invaluable guidance from experienced personnel, professional rather, and also enabled me to gain new perspective. Gave me a different light to just gave me a whole new perspective on issues, and I got to really refine my skills as well and navigate the challenges in my professional development. May you please just mute when you do join in? And through mentorship, I've learned not only about my strengths or areas of growth, but I've also learned to leverage on relationships. Yeah, and I hope this session will give you more in mentorship relationships, because it's not just a matter of getting a mentor, but you need to somehow sustain that relationship. And this session is what it's all about: you sustaining that relationship. You get it, and then you sustain it. You have to maintain it. So with that said, I look forward to our engagement in the chat, and I think just to fill the mood or the mood in the room, yeah, Shanae will just pop out our Mentimeter, and then let's see where we are. Let's see where we are in terms of how you're feeling today. You know, um, yeah. How was your
So can you
day?
all
Maybe
see the quizzes?
yes, we can.
Okay, great.
Yeah, maybe from 1 to 5. How was your day? You can just rate it there. And what are some of your expectations? What are you expecting to take away from tonight's session? In one word, what is it that you're expecting? What are you expectant of from tonight's session? And I'd like to also recognize the chairperson of Women in Mining South Africa who has joined us, Ms. Raksha Naidu. She's in the room. Show some love there and on the reactions. Thank you so much, Raksha, for taking the time to join us. It's really encouraging to have women like you in our midst, and women who are really relentless and who give and show support to other women. It's really very encouraging. Our industry is in good hands. And tonight, I am not alone. I've got a great group of panelists. These are people I have personally learned a lot from just personally and professionally. I've learned a great deal. Some of the people I got to, work with, and others have got to interact or engage with them in settings such as this, where we're discussing mentorship, others just career fairs. So it's the same sort of values that we share. So that's why I brought we're able to bring them in here, and I hope you will also learn a great deal. So our polls, people are saying a lot of people are feeling you know, almost, they're almost there. It's 3 and it's a 4. Okay, that's better. It's better than a 1. It's better than a 1. Yeah. No, I think we're good. We're good to go. We're good to go. Shanae, what are the expectations on your side?
I'm about to read them to you.
Okay.
Let's see. But you can continue so long. I'm sorry. Seems like I need
So
to
let me
log
go
in.
ahead. Okay. Let me go ahead and introduce our panelists. So the first one is Miss Angelique Trollip. She's the principal engineer, vent engineer at Anglo American. If you can just wave so they can see you. Yeah, that's Angelique. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And we also have Hanifa. Hanifa, she's a section manager at Anglo American as well. Hanifa, there she is. And we have Mr. Rugisani Nefare. Mr. Rugisani Nefare is the head engineering Vedanta Resources. And we have Dr. Amo. Where is she? I think I saw her somewhere here.
Yes, I just
I'm on
admitted
the
her again.
platform.
I think she dropped off.
Hi
Yeah.
everyone. No, I'm on the platform already.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, this is Dr. Amu. She's one of our panelists as well. So I would maybe let's. I think it's a good place to start. We'll have say Angelique. I see she's smiling, so I think she's ready. Angelique, maybe just give us a brief description of your background and maybe what's the one piece of advice that you wish somebody had given you early on in your career. Thank you.
Thanks, Ǹdamo, and thanks to everyone who's taken the time to actually listen to us panelists tonight. I know the energy levels can be a little bit low when you get to this time, but I must say I'm very excited for today's session, and I feel pretty honored to be around with everyone in the session together with the panelists. So my name, Angelique Trollip, Principal Ventilation for Anglo American Platinum. I have a career that spans with Anglo American Platinum for 16 years. And yes, I started in 2009 as a ventilation trainee within ADC, which is like a training program through Anglo Platinum, and then quickly did, you know, my practical and my intermediate in mines environmental control. And I took a position as a ventilation officer in 2010 in Amandelbult. Same year, went to a senior vent officer. Following year, section ventilation officer. And then in 2011, section vent officer as well at Amandelbult. Then 2013, a ventilation engineer at Union Mine. So I did a bit of a location change. And I was at Union Mine up until 2018. And then went back to Amandelbult as a chief ventilation engineer. And then joined corporate in 2022. I had a big change of pace. I actually joined as principal mining in best practice. You know, I moved out of the ventilation space for a little bit and took on a little bit of a challenging new opportunity within corporate on that space. And then in December, moved over as a principal ventilation in Anglo Corporate. So that's a little bit of my, you know, my background and growth pattern through my career. I think I also serve as I'm currently a vice chairperson to the Mine Ventilation Society of South Africa Northwest branch. Chairperson for the 2 years before that. I took a little bit of a back step. I'm trying to finalize my master's, so you know, one needs to prioritize a little bit. And then just generally as many industry forums as I really can. You know, I'm part of the the GEs, which is Group Environmental Engineers, and other industry sort of sets that I like to participate in. I think, if I had to go back to, what advice would I give myself? I think the first one is, don't be authentically you, just have your own development goals at your foreheart. I distinctly remember a moment or a low moment in my career where I sat in a career development panel that we were talking about, my studies and where I want to go, the normal sort of performer of questions you go through in a CDP. And I actually implored my panel and I said, I'm really interested to potentially study a little bit further in mining engineering or potentially even mechanical engineering. These components actually do play quite a big role in our discipline. And, I remember them telling me, Angelique, just focus, stay within ventilation and occupational hygiene, get the experience, drive that component, and as I mentioned, very ironically, I got like into a little bit of a stuck phase, being a chief ent engineer. I wanted to move to corporate. I was already assisting other mines, but they didn't want to move me because they wanted to keep the experience on the site. And it was actually my interest in mining engineer that pulled me to corporate, so be authentically you. Where your passion is what will drive your journey the easiest, so if you have that affinity for something that's a little bit different or maybe outside the space of where you're currently working, I would say definitely don't park it, and don't necessarily take that advice straight to heart.
Sure. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Angelique. And I think I really resonate with you saying you should just be authentic. Be authentically you, unapologetically. So thank you for that. Hanifa, a bit about your background and the one piece of advice that you wish somebody had given you.
Thank you so much. I joined Anglo American Platinum around 2003, and I've stuck around with Platinum for my entire career. And I had wonderful study opportunities. I worked in operational human resources. I worked in employee relations, and for the longer time, I've worked in the learning space, or what people know as human resources development. So I've got the best job at the moment, nurturing and developing our next chief executive officer, executive head of mining, etc., etc. And I think in my career, I think if somebody told me to be brave, I would have been much braver. I stayed in places for a very long time, and I wanted to be safe. And it's only later in my career that I started to be more brave. And I think I didn't take some of the opportunities that were given to me because I wasn't brave enough, or I felt I wasn't good enough. So I think that word to say you're good enough and you're brave, it would have propelled me much further. Yeah.
Sure, that's so powerful. Thank you so much. Rugisani? Rugisani?
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the intro. 𝗟𝗂𝗴𝗏 here. I think if I can summarize and also maybe some of the learning points. I came through an Anglo coal buzzer from grade 12 through to the University of Cape Town, and then I started in 2010. So it's going around 15 years now. 2010, I started at Mafube. It's an 𝗟𝗂𝗴𝗏 Anglo. It was an 𝗟𝗂𝗴𝗏 Anglo joint venture, which is 𝗟𝗂𝗴𝗏 Thungela now around around Mpumalanga Info area, Middleburg area. Then from there, I was just a junior engineer, project engineer, acting section engineer. And then I did do exposure in the Rustenburg area, Komangani 1, Komangani 2. I think they used to call it Frank 1 and 2. Then I was project engineer for Central Workshops of Anglo Coal, which is Thungela now in the Witbank area. From there, I was a section engineer at 𝗂𝗲𝗃 in around Middelburg. And then from there, I was actually plant engineer at RLT in Witbank, next to Emalahleni Water Treatment Plant. So it's servicing Greenside, Khwezela. I was plant engineer there for the coal that goes to Richards Bay. I was a section engineer at 𝗂𝗶𝗄𝗃, Secunda, Sasol Mining. Then I was assistant to the VP at Sasol. That's when I got the opportunity to do the MBA. After the BSc Mechanical Engineering, MBA at Gibbs. I was actually the class representative there at Gibbs and got an opportunity to go to Spain. Then I was also engineer at Impumelelo at Sasol Mining, Secunda. It's in Secunda. And then I was engineer as well at Kumba, Sishen Mine Katu. Now I'm the engineering manager of Gamsbeek. Gamsbeek is in the Northern Cape. It's under Vidanta. I'm looking after plants and mining. I'm the head of engineering there. So if I'm to maybe some advice that I should have gotten, I did have an opportunity of getting a lot of advices. I'm actually out there and outgoing. So some of the advices I did take, and maybe I can share the advice that I wouldn't be here if I had not taken. I got an advice some years ago that I must always put up my hand, and it might sound a bit unscientific or unfactual, but it's even if you don't know everything, but you need to put up your hand, and sometimes you get people that carry you through, and don't be scared of a role, and volunteer, put up your hand, learn new things, put yourself out there, especially at a young age. It's a good age to not want to look like you know everything. You know, actually, when in your 20s, in your young age, in your 30s, people actually understand. You know, if you ask or you don't know it all, it's actually very welcomed, fun enough, and you don't lose anything by volunteering to learn. So I think my advice really will be, when you look at that position, if that's the direction you want to go, apply for it, go for it. Get the qualifications, get the training, get the support, get the mentorship around you, and put your hand out there, especially if you are selected, if you are asked to do something that you feel is too big. Put up your hand, it will serve you well. So that's an advice that I know I wouldn't be here if I didn't take. Perhaps the more maybe that I would reflect to say, if I'm to tell the younger me, it's also, I see, is it 𝗂𝗲𝗃? Someone has been at platinum for too long. I think it's 𝗂𝗲𝗃. It's also okay to sit and build and just soak yourself in. You know, you don't have to. It's okay to sit and be a platinum person or a coal person, or just to spend some time. In fact, I have a colleague who's in the UK. He was telling me about how in some of the organizations, people just stay and do their normal job. Over time, they are the most experienced, they are the most knowledgeable, they look smart, but they just stayed and soaked, marinated themselves in the work, in the knowledge, and they get very, very far because of that. So I'm trying to say, one of the things is, don't always look around what's happening in your peers. I think Angelica said it. Have the plan, and if that's your game plan, that's your game plan. As long as you understand it, stay on the horse. You know, as long as it's not a dead horse, but stay on the horse, and it's okay to be there. And while friends are saying, "I'm starting a new job," I'm starting. Although you don't know it, you are shedding the skin, and you're starting a new job as well. Thanks.
Okay. Sure. Thank you so much. There's just a lot of nuggets here being shared. And Angelique said, you know, be authentically you. Don't try to be somebody else. And Hanifa came in to say, you know, you need to just take that bold step. Be brave enough to go out there and get what you want. And now Rugisan is telling us me that, even if that they don't come to you and say, here is the project, do this. Sometimes you need to go to them and say, okay, which project can I help with? Which project can I assist? You go and you put up your own hand. You don't wait for someone to come and say, hey, here it is. On that note, Dr. Amu, are you still with us?
Dr. Arnold is here. Maybe she can just unmute and see.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, maybe she will just we'll continue with her maybe when she just.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh
Dama?
yes I can.
Oh, there we go. My apologies. We are traveling on the executive VFL, so my connection and network setup has been giving me challenges. But yeah, I'm here. Am I audible enough?
You're audible.
Thank you. So my name is Amumu Dau. I've started my career in the gold fields in 2007. So I'm now 18 years into the field of occupational hygiene ventilation, but on the far end of it, SHEC, which is actually looking at the integrated system for safety, health, environment, ventilation, risk. So I'm on the cocktail, kind of a tail end of my career. So I started my career, as I said, in a graduate program for training as an occupational hygienist. And from there, I moved from the gold mines to the platinum. And since then, I stayed the longest in the platinum divisions. So I'm currently holding an executive role at African Rainbow Minerals, where I actually give guidance to the operations in terms of strategic foresight and objectives in all our platinum operations. So my journey has been a diverse one, because I was a scientist who happened to get on a program for occupational hygiene and ventilation. I had a bit of knowledge for occupational hygiene, and at the time I was doing the honors degree at Port University. But when they got us into the program, then I realized that the program, they will train us on ventilation as ventilation engineers. And that was quite new for me. For me, the exciting part with occupational hygiene was that occupational hygienists, they deal with things which people cannot see. So it's pure science. But when I was introduced with ventilation, you for me, if you are an occupational hygienist, somehow you need to do ventilation engineering, because they go both hand in hand. A lot of ventilation engineers don't agree to this, but I'm that one vent engineer who felt that for me to be the best occupational hygienist, I needed to do both ventilation and occupational hygiene. I transitioned, though, in my career into the safety, environment, and the risk space. But the beauty of it is that I still do occupational hygiene and ventilation as a full package. So the exciting part of my current role is really an integration where I'm not just a ventilation engineer or occupational hygiene scientist, but I'm actually looking at the holistic approach of integrated solutions when it comes to saving lives in the mines. So one of the other things about me is that I have a very inquisitive mind, and that actually kept me in academia as well. Because then I continued with my honors, my master's, and through to PhD, studying occupational hygiene, integrating it with ventilation engineering. And hence I say that for me, I felt that to be the best, I need to actually take the integration route. And in the process, I actually found my niche. And my niche is more into, I need to research, I need to bring in solutions, I need to integrate in my way of approach. And therefore, the PhD gave me, or took me to the edge, to say you can actually integrate and actually brings more relevance into the mining space and into the role as well. So I am involved with a lot of projects with the group Environmental Engineers, Mineral Council. I'm also involved on the public health qualifications at the Vet School of Public Health, where I am part of the team that is supervising the students that are doing their masters in exposure science. So and that's what keeps me going, to say, as much as I'm adding value in the workspace, I'm also giving back in academia, because we often you find that when the students are doing research at the universities, you don't have people with practical or expert advices to give back to the students. And for me, that gives me that platform where I can take learnings from the mining environment back into the classroom, but in a way it benefits the larger part of mining overall, because I'm participating both the platforms. So if I were to give someone an advice, is that when you get into the field, find your niche. If I didn't find my niche and embraced what I actually love doing, I think I would have gotten very bored quickly in mining. I don't think I would have had accelerated growth into an executive position. So if you want something, go for it. Raise your hand. I've had an advantage of working with a lot of experienced people who held my hands from when I was a trainee, when I became a vent and occupational hygiene officer. And through that program, and within 3 years of starting my career as a trainee, I was an occupational hygiene manager. And sometimes I would ask myself, how did I get here? you know but when you stretch yourself, you allow yourself to walk an extra mile. You have mentors, you're mentoring other people, you learn, but you also are able to transfer the skills, and that actually allows you to live your purpose and to give back into the mining space. So I love what I do, and I think that embracing the fact that, when I was doing my PhD, I realized that from the operators right through to the artisans, to the engineering managers, to the vent engineers, I realized that for us to find solutions, we actually need to ensure that we work in an integrated manner. And yeah, I love mining, and that's what actually keeps me going. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really like what you said about finding your niche. You really need to find something that you are really passionate about, and you just go for it. You be the expert in that area. Thank you so much, Dr. Amo. And maybe still talking about finding your niche and also raising your hand. Maybe let's look at when at what point did you realize you needed a mentor? At what point in your career did you realize that, what, I need direction here, I need somebody's support?
I think right at the beginning, because we came in, we just young scientists, and you find yourself in the mines. I remember gold mines were very rough. So you come from being a graduate to actually being told that you are nothing. You know nothing. Wena lo muntu kaloku 𝗟𝗪𝗏. And when you get you find yourself in that space, you actually quickly realize that you need to find people that will walk the journey with you, because otherwise you become very discouraged. So I felt discouraged that I'm in this program. I feel like I'm cutting it, and I'm being told that I'm nothing because I'm not a minor. I'm not a minor overseer. I'm just a graduate. So you will be told on your face that, what, you've got your degree, but it actually means nothing. And at that point, I realized that how do I actually navigate myself and align myself with the people who actually walk the journey with me, to make me feel relevant, to give me projects, to actually quickly build this mining experience, so that I'm not going to be told that mina lo muntu kaloku 𝗟𝗪𝗏. So one of the things in the gold mines, you have to find your ground very fast. You need to know that you need to walk the journey with people who have walked ahead of you, because at that time when we started, we were the first females ventilation trainees at that time. So the ground was not even. You actually realize that it's either align myself with the right people, and at that time I aligned myself with the good, the ventilation engineers, the group. I remember the 𝗟𝗂𝗶𝗃𝗃, the 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃 and the Arnold Erasmus when I got to Anglo. And because they were very much experienced and they wanted to embrace the young people. but they were looking for the people who wanted and willing to take extra mile and work longer hours. So I actually realized that I needed the mentors right from the beginning when I was told that my degree means nothing. Mina lo muntu kalukutsheliwa. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I see Angelique is busy smiling. Angelique, do you want to chip in here?
Yeah, thank you. I just love it. It resonates so well with me what Dr. 𝗏 said. You know, I think from just to build onto that, you know, don't wait as soon as possible. You know, that would even be my advice to me, because I think I had a lot of informal coaches. I was very blessed that I got the necessary attention and support from people like Dr. 𝗏 has mentioned. I immediately latched onto those that were experienced in the industry and put my hand up also for whatever it was that I could do. You know, you immediately build those relationships. I think what was interesting for my career was, you know, I hadn't really had a formal mentorship until much later in my career. Had a lot of coaching, a lot of informal mentorship, but when I really hit a sort of stuck place, I got involved. I really made it a mission, and I said, you know, now I need to get a formal mentorship in place. And I didn't keep, you know, the level low. I looked for a much more senior mentorship and somebody outside of my discipline, because all my mentorship previous to that was within my discipline. And all that I can echo is, you know, don't pick one mentor. There's a lot of people within within our industry, you know, that can have valuable insights into your journey that are not necessarily in your discipline. And then do it immediately. Go for that formal mentorship sooner, because it was really, really life-changing for me. It really strategically took my growth path and my developmental path to a new phase. Can also just say that formal mentorship was not a comfortable journey. It was challenging, you know, it was something I hadn't been exposed to in any of the other sort of relationships that I had. It really pushed me to my boundaries. It was a very safe space that we worked within, but the conversations that we had were difficult. You know, they made me really have to reflect. So don't be scared that if you get a very strong mentor, that you might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable, you know, because the conversations and the reflections that you're going to have might at the time feel uncomfortable, but they are the space where you need to be to grow the most.
That's so profound, Angelique. So you don't have to be the place where you're comfortable. And I think it's a lot of people do say that when, you know, where you are comfortable, you will hardly grow. You will hardly see a different version of yourself. So you need that uncomfortability. Hanifa, have you ever been uncomfortable and you decided, you know what, I need a mentor?
I haven't had a very good relationship with my mentor because I don't like discomfort. So it's just one of those relationships where you have to court your mentor and write them an email telling them you're interested in them. So it's only recently that I did really reach out to someone. But yeah, there is that discomfort because it's somebody that you don't know and they ask you these deep questions and you don't want to be vulnerable and you don't want to get deep. So for me personally, I promote mentorship, but in my personal life, I haven't harnessed the full power of mentorship.
All right,
but I'm on a journey.
Thank you. Rugisanya, are you also part of the journey or you have found a mentor?
Yeah, I've had mentors, I have current now, but I've got just some thoughts to share as well on finding a mentor and the journey. It will be a bit detailed, but what I want to say is, so I think for me personally, the people that had the most impact, funny enough, came during a crisis, you know. I'm a GCC engineer. It was actually after a fatality in my section, you know, as sad as it was. But I say this intentionally because sometimes, especially if you're in mining, you need to learn that the crisis can easily become into an opportunity. to learn if the attitude is right. So that's what really took me out of the comfort position. But also, that crisis exposed what I was good at. So in hindsight, I would say, if you are looking for a mentor or you're in that journey with a mentor or just a career goal, it's important to know what, talking about going back to the issue of the niche, what you are good at, what is your center of rotation, what is your area of grace, if I can use that word. And I mean, in every field you are in, you won't be 100% good in all of them. So you need to know what you are good at in that career or as a person. In my case, I'm sociable, I talk, I'm a good public speaker, and that easily set me apart from my peers. So you need to check what set you apart from your peers. Why must this person pour themselves invest into you? And really, once you find what sets you apart, it's easier for people to help you, to mentor you, but also to understand why this kind of person is your mentor. Again, it can be as easy as you want to get ahead in your career, you want promotions and so on, and ultimately, and there must be, I think we spoke about sponsor, or they must brand you, or it could be you just want knowledge, which is why coaches are also very, very important, because it's not just mentors that move us ahead, but sometimes some people will just be coaches. So yeah, I think those are thoughts that I wanted to say, that there are things that move us out of to end up with good mentors, things like crisis, and don't shy away from crisis. Just like in life, I mean, during COVID, I know people who had shares in some companies that through COVID, the returns were huge because of the crisis of COVID. So even in life, in your career, you might find that through a crisis, you are actually being positioned for a very good mentorship relationship. The other part I wanted to say, because it's a Windsor platform, and especially in mining, I mean, don't go out there and collaborate, because there's still a lot of males in the mining industry. I mean, Ndamu is here. We collaborated. I ended up in this platform. It's gonna be important to get out of your comfort zone, but always using what makes you stand up and not to try to do everything. I mean, in engineering, for example, conveyor belt, if that's your thing, or winders, or talking, or there's a thing that sets you apart, and that's the thing that you must really move on, and it will connect you and make people to be interested. I think as I finish, the other thing I wanted to say in finding a mentor and settling is that the mentor as well, you might have to kiss a lot of frogs, before you get very good mentors. So don't be shy that someone is a mentor. They write to them, they have meetings. I'm begging to find a mentor. You might have to talk to 3 people before you actually land at a person who's adding value. Because let's be honest, some of the mentors won't have time for you, or you write, the meeting doesn't happen. One of the things in my early ages was Anglo used to hammer on mentorship, but I felt like I'm not getting the attention I need, And so don't be shy to have multiple mentors or to reach out to more people. I usually say it's like finding a church, it has to work for you. And once you find that person that works for you, and then you stick with them, and some of them become mentors that you can always default to, although you find new mentors. I think I've summarized my thoughts on finding a mentor and staying and actually getting value from this. I need to stress the issue that you have a potential, and you need to motivate your mentors with that potential. So that it can make you stand out, and then people can be interested in developing you. And okay, lastly, when you show that potential, ultimately also people want to see themselves in you, or a potential in you, and that's why people pour themselves on you. So if you're in mining, be a miner. Don't try and talk about banking, or then I move to research, or be a madoda. Go to the mine at night. The best mentors in banking are in banking. So be like a banking person. If you're in mining, be like Lomuntu Kalo mine. That just attracts mentors to you, because guys who are real miners, they see themselves in you, even though they're CEOs. And because they see themselves in you, the younger version of them, they will always be interested in giving the skill, but also opening opportunities and becoming sponsors to your career. So show the potential, but be the thing that you are claiming to be. It helps with the mentorship process. Thanks.
Sure, you said a mouthful. Thank you so much. So be the person that you've always wanted to be. And I think you also touched on something that I would like us to trending, that you really have to somehow be a brand and make sure that when you do approach people, you're approaching them in a sense that you know who you are and you know what you want, you know what you stand for. So I just want us maybe to elaborate or just labor more on that, to say how important is self-awareness when one is trying to position themselves to in finding a mentor. Like how important that is, and how has that played maybe in your careers or your lives in general, Angelique?
Sure, that's quite a tough question because, I think at different stages of my career, I've been very self-aware of what I'm doing and where I'm going. And then at different stages, I've been a little bit unsure and unaware. I think, what I do resonate with is that you have to find a way to connect with the mentor, right? Otherwise, they're not going to give you back much. You really need to connect something within them, and that will, like it says, foster that relationship and the want for further information to be shared. So it's okay, I think, if you are a little bit unsure of your exact steps going forward, you can find mentors that are going to help you work through developing, your next steps and your path to your 5-year and your 10-year. But at the same time, you go through different stages, and if looking to probably attract sort of a much more senior mentorship, you probably need to have quite a good understanding of your self-awareness at that point. This is not your general coaches that are helping you in your technical discipline. This is, more senior mentorship, sponsorship aligned. You probably need to have a good brand identity. And I really also resonate with the fact that, each person has what makes them uniquely them, what brings them to the table every day, the passion that comes through. You need to know that, and you need to display that so that somebody can really connect with you and want to take the relationship to the next step.
Sure, that's really powerful. Just that connection, try to build that connection in that relationship. I think it's sort of the glue, obviously, that will maintain the relationship. Um, um, and Hanifa, have you ever encountered maybe a moment in your career or maybe in one of the graduates where they're complaining that they can't find any connection with the mentor they're with, or maybe in your personal life?
Yes, I think the chemistry is very important. It's one of the critical factors for a successful mentorship. So I do have graduates that are afraid to approach certain people, or they may feel that they're not aligned. So I remember someone told me to get a strategic mentor, and he was an Afrikaans male, and I don't relate well, or at that time I didn't relate well to Afrikaans males. But in hindsight, I think if I took the leap and I positioned myself with that mentor, I would have grown exponentially because they really were very different from me. So I think the first session between a mentor and mentee is usually a chemistry session. And you leave that session thinking, okay, there's no strings attached. We're really getting to know each other. And after the session, we'll decide if we do want to go forward. But if there is a very strong disconnect in terms of values, in terms of how they relate to you, they may want to talk more than listen, or they may be very patriarchal or very matriarchal. I think you as an individual having that self-awareness, if it's not resonating for you, then you say this is not working for me and you continue to find another mentor. But giving up is definitely not an option. But chemistry is very critical, and I mean, we are not everybody's people, but at the same time we mustn't forget that it's not meant to be a comfortable situation. So the level of discomfort that you're feeling, it's also commensurate with your potential for growth. So unless this person makes you uncomfortable, to an extent where it touches some of your personal values or your core. But other than that, feeling uncomfortable is normally a good sign that you're now in your growth zone. But obviously outside of your growth zone, there's the discomfort zone that you don't want to find yourself in. So I think ask yourself, even though I'm uncomfortable and there's no chemistry as yet, am I still in the learning zone, or am I getting into a danger zone where I'm never going to feel comfortable? This is an unsafe space for me. But it's your responsibility as a mentee to also take steps to nurture that relationship and get over that hurdle and create that chemistry through regular contact and stuff like that. Because if you feel uncomfortable, if you don't see your mentor for another 6 months, you're going to be restarting the relationship again. So you cross that barrier of discomfort after some time through regular contact or proximity with your mentor. Thanks, Ndamu.
Thank you so much, Hanifa. I think you also just mentioned something so important, that the relationship is not meant to be a comfortable situation. I think there's a reason why Ndamu decided I need a mentor, because I am in an uncomfortable situation already. I need a saving, I need support. So it might not really get comfortable at all. So maybe let's just bring in Dr. I'm not sure if she's still with us.
Sorry,
Dr.
Ndamu. There's a question in the chat. I don't want to miss it. If Dr. doesn't mind, if we can quickly ask that question to Lugusani, to get the participants also interacting. So Lugusani, the question is, you mentioned something along the lines, motivate your mentor about your potential. Can you please elaborate on that?
Okay. Yeah, what I mean by that is everybody wants to know that what they're doing, it's value, right? So when I say motivate your mentor through your potential, in fact, let me talk about networking in general. We use our skills to network. So a mentorship relationship is also a form of network. So the mentor needs to see potential in you, in a sense that like in the mining space, you are passionate about engineering, you are passionate about mining, you are studying towards your MMC, you are putting in the work towards your GCC, you are asking questions. That's why I use the word that person needs to see themselves in you. That's what I mean by motivate your mentor through your potential. So, and when I say potential, I meant the person who asks 𝗔𝗵𝗂𝗄, what I don't know if we're allowed now. What line of work are you in, 𝗔𝗵𝗂𝗄? So I'll give you an exact example.
No, you can ask, you can go ahead.
You can type it or speak up. What line of work are you in?
No, I just completed my master's in economic geology.
Economic geology. So this is the geology in mining, right? So already you are in economic geology. So the type of geology you are interested in, it's unique. So then I'll assume you are passionate about it. So what I'm trying to say is go all out on economic geology, and talk about models. Talk about models of geology that transfer to commercial gains. And, in economic geology, don't try to be like the geologist that is then talking about rocks and there's no models, there's no finance. I'm saying be comfortable in your economic geology space, and that will attract the right people. Because sometimes you think a mentor is right for you, but it's also being in your space and being comfortable about who you are and shining within your abilities. It's also a preparation for the right mentors. Remember they say when preparation meets opportunity, success is inevitable. So that's what I mean to say, if you are passionate about economic geology, don't try and now go into hydrogeology just because you want to impress this guy. Be comfortable in your skin, in what you're good at, and that will also help mentors to help you to attract mentors. That's what I mean to say. I'm trying to say in this economy, good mentors don't come easy. And unfortunately, the reality is no one wants to hit a dead horse. You understand? So what I mean when I say motivate your mentor through your potential, don't be a dead horse, because no one is gonna hit you. So show the potential, show what you can within your rights, And people will see, yeah, man, this child, she's in Limpopo, but if I can just coach her, get her into GCC, into MMC, into ventilation certificate, if I to act here, yeah, man, she can transform into something brilliant. That's what I mean. Show them the rough diamond that you are. That's what I mean. And people will process you, take you through the whole process, because they know that once they take you through the furnace, you'll be the precious rock that you are.
Love
That
that. Love,
is
love, love
powerful.
that. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Gisani. They say don't be a dead horse, guys. Let's not be dead horses. Dr. Amo, what I wanted to ask you was, we were talking about chemistry, and if I mentioned that we need to have chemistry with our mentors, so I wanted to understand maybe from your side or your journey. Um, did your journey was your journey ever as comfortable, maybe in terms of mentorship, when you found a mentor? How was it? How was your experience just at the beginning?
So for me, when I got the mentorship, so at Anglo, there was a structured program where you would be allocated the mentors and so forth. And, you would have a contract that you sign, you have scheduled meetings and so forth. But what I did over and above that, I looked into the department to say, whose energy resonates with mine? Who's that one person when I speak to, I can actually connect and I'm not scared to connect with them and so forth. So over and above the signed or assigned mentor, I looked around the people in the department, whether they were seniors, whether they were peers, whether they were my trainees as well, because you always get something out of the people that you work with. But the one thing that I want to say, especially for Black females in mining industry, is that, so there's a program that I did along the way at Henley Business School, which was a program which African Rainbow Minerals put together to develop women in mining and to really develop the business side of things. And that program, it was very uncomfortable because they go, when I went through the process of, I could see
Dr. Am?
so we grow up in an environment as Black females, we need to be respectful, we need to be obedient, we need to actually, in a nutshell, we need to be quiet. We shouldn't say a lot. We should just do what we are told to do. And that's how, in an African way of raising a black girl, the black girl will, if we say that the black girl has good qualities, is that one who is, who that literally doesn't have boundaries, because you say yes to everything. And when I went through the process of the personal journey into mastering who I was, I actually realized that I have not, as much as I have learned a lot, I haven't been bold enough, I haven't been vocal enough, I haven't been to the spaces where I can say, I don't want to do that, this, I don't want to do that, this is the path I want to take. And that process actually helped me to actually find my strength because I had identified the weaknesses. So personally, I had to address internal issues to be able to be strong enough to choose the path which I wanted to take. So my advice as well, especially to Black females, is that find that one thing that the little girl locked inside you is crying about and sort it out, because until that is sorted, you're not going to be able to have bold conversation either with your mentors, either with your sponsors. And as I grew in my career and landed in an executive position, I realized that you need sponsors, you need people who will be able to say, but we can vouch on Amo. We need to give Amo an opportunity, because if you don't have people that are talking about you and defending you in the bigger tables when you are not there, it's actually a hindrance. And I will say that as you're working with your mentors, find who you are, know your weaknesses, learn ways to overcome them, but also have sponsors, people who will represent you when you are not in the room. Because the danger is when you are not in the room and people are making decisions and there's no one who can raise their hand and say, I think Amu can do it. So it's important to manage both your sponsors and your mentors and actually manage that relationship, but also kill the little girl that is crying inside of you. Thank you.
Sure. I think you brought up another dimension to this conversation, but we'll cycle back to that. There's a question in the chat. 𝗂𝗲𝗄𝗧 said, what should you do if your chosen mentor is not a good fit? What must 𝗂𝗂𝗄𝗧 do if her chosen mentor is not a good fit?
I think it has been mentioned. I can't remember who's the other panelist. Our male panelist. He said that. Yeah, he said that if mentor 1 and mentor 2 and mentor 3 does not work, keep looking. Find the right person, and the energy need to be right. So if especially if the danger comes with assigned mentors, because we feel that we can't change assigned mentors. If the assigned mentor is not working for you, be bold enough to say that, our energies are not aligning. And again, mentor doesn't have to be within the organization. It can be another organization. So stretch your wings, connect. It doesn't really have to be around your comfort area or within your employer. It can be from any other organization. So stretch, talk to people, find the right person, make sure the energies resonate. But again, don't settle for mentor 1. If mentor 1 doesn't work, let's move to mentor 2 and mentor 3. Some of them will be formal mentors, some of them will be informal. It's okay as long as they are actually helping you to navigate your journey. Thanks.
And I also think, just to add to that, Doctor, is that you can have multiple
Thank you so
mentors as
much.
well.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Dr. Ang. Maybe let's now, for sure, Shanae. Maybe let's bring in Angelique into this. Dr. Almo mentioned something like, what is sponsorship? Angelique, how has sponsorship played out in your career? Where did you get sponsorship? What is this sponsorship?
Yeah, so sponsorship is something I believe you can attain sponsorship first and foremost, but it's not something that you formally go out and you go and you say, okay, Dr. Madau, would you sponsor me? It's something that's often derived from you continuously putting your hand up, consistently performing, being really visible, being the yes person, even if it's to the detriment of your balance in your life, sometimes more so than others. But that really willingness to contribute in all facets. I mean, I've had, requests from way out of what I'm experienced in, but always try to assist somebody, because this is where you start to develop sponsorship. Sponsorship is really, as explained, it's the advocate of a relationship that speaks on behalf of you when you're not in that room, right? And this can come from many different facets of your career. I think in my career, I can talk about, I've had sponsorship in the Mine Ventilation Society of South Africa. There were people that backed me to become the chairperson for the branch. They don't openly tell me who they are, but they had to make a decision to entrust that responsibility to me. And I think furthermore, when I was based at Amandelbult still as a chief, I was one side orientated. But 2 years before I even left that site, people started requesting me to go to other sites to assist them with challenges they had on their sites. And I was continuously putting my hand up to do that. That means there's people in the industry, advocating and suggesting that this person can assist you and contribute positively. you really, really need this throughout your career. There's different ways that this works. You know, in some senses, sponsorship tends to be more higher level, you know, within organizations. And it can really drive your trajectory of sort of status within an organization. But it can also do a lot for you outside of your organization, because, you know, development in one's growth journey is not all about your growth within your organization. It's your technical discipline, it's your soft skills, it's your ability to really connect with people and really change the environment that you work within. You know, it doesn't have to even be your discipline. There's many advocates for women in mining, not necessarily for a technical discipline. So that's how I see sponsorship. It can be attracted, and the best way to do it is really being the yes person at all opportunity and consistently performing and showing up for that.
Sure, thank you so much, Angelique. Say be the yes person, consistently show up, and then you raise your hand. And Lugisani, how is sponsorship played out?
Come again?
Mhm. Yeah, I was going to ask, how has sponsorship played out in your career?
Okay, I'm going to answer that briefly, but there was a question here by 𝗠𝗲𝗶𝗲 on how would one describe a sustainable life cycle of mentorship. So I just wanted to mention that in my experience observation, different mentorship relationships have got different life cycles. And I'd already responded here that some you outgrow them because you go, that's what the mentorship, it's like a mother and father. I mean, ultimately you must end up teaching them how to use a phone, you know. So there are some mentors that over 20 years or some time, you actually outgrow the relationship, the mentorship. Some they fall off when there's drastic changes like career changes. Some actually mature to sponsorships. I'll comment about that just now. And some grow into career friendships, you know. I don't know if you guys have worked with a guy called, because I feel we're not talking about names, it's very abstract. But it's mining. I mean, someone should have worked with 𝗔𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗍𝗂𝗔. Anyone, I don't know if you raise up a hand or you can open your microphone. I just want to make it real. And has anyone ever of a person called 𝗔𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗍𝗂𝗔? Okay, he was
Yes,
one of my hello?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
you can speak.
I did work with Mazwi.
Okay, yeah, Mazwi played a big role in my career. I wouldn't be here if Mazwi had not been a good mentor. But if you ask him now, he will tell you we are friends. So that's what I'm saying. Some become career friends. I wanted to just answer that. But you're talking about how did sponsorship play out in my life, in my career? Yeah, I think it all goes. Remember, as you do the mentorship, and I'm talking about a sponsor who has a mentor or who's a mentor. It's all about the input that you put in. It all goes back to this thing of showing potential and building the trust and people seeing potential or the ability that you have over time. So although we use the word sponsorship, really, remember these mentors get asked, who's a good ventilation officer? Who's a good, I mean, I know them now. If someone asks me who's a good hygienist, I might recommend a name or I might bring up a name in a boardroom, but she might say I'm a sponsor, but I'm also helping my friend, whoever is asking, you know, and I know that she can do the job. So I put a name there because I can be associated with her. I don't mind my brand or my name being associated with me, bring her name in the boardroom or recommending her for something. So I'm trying to say, if you think of sponsorship in a form of people that you have convinced of your ability, then you understand sponsorship, because it's not like people are saying this person is incompetent because she was my mentee. Let's put her here. It's not like your mother wanting you to be in something because you are her daughter. No. Sponsorship is about, I've seen this talent, I've seen it grow, I've been close to it. I know it can be a best fit here or it can grow well here. And that's really what sponsorship is. So I think we must see it as the opportunity to display our skills And the only advantage in sponsorship is you have the platform. You know, I see now Donald Trump's son, not Donald Trump, Elon Musk's son gets to be in the White House, gets to be with Donald Trump. The only difference with that small boy is opportunity, platform. And that's what sponsorship is about, you know. If that boy is very good in soccer or football, whatever it is, all that Donald Trump can do really is to say, the boy is good and bring up his name. And that's what sponsorship is about, because we are so many and we are all good. But sponsorship is about a mentor who is convinced of your ability and they are willing to assist you with further development and further connections to other responsibilities. That's how I see it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rugisani. I think you mentioned that somebody has to be convinced of your abilities to actually really give you that platform. And I think it's something that Dr. Amu touched on that earlier on. Dr. Amu, would you mind to elaborate more on that when specifically looking at the concept of sponsorship?
I actually like what Lungisani and Angelique said. So Angelique said when she was defining the sponsorship, I think in a nutshell, she said that there are requirements and the requirements are easy. You raise your hand, you work very hard, because with sponsorship, it's not necessarily where they will say who's going to be your sponsor. You work. I always say that someone is always watching when you're doing what is good. And that's when people sit in the room and will do this. And then I'll be so proud and confident to say, I think Angelique can do this because her sponsor, because I have seen Angelique doing something. So my advice is that, you know, in your journey to finding your niche, in your journey to get to become what you want, work very hard. Someone is always watching you. Really, that is actually key, because the sponsors are not going to come and tell you that we are sponsoring you, but you will hear that yes, people are looking at the 5-year program to say who's going to replace. People are getting old. You know, we're going to need executives in the next 5 years and whatnot. And it's what you put in that will make people to speak for you in the room. So put hard work and raise your hand and actually understand your program where everyone can see that this person is so organized, they are aligned, she knows what you want, and so forth. And that way, you will get people who will pick you as a sponsor. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Doc. Hanifa, like I would like to just hear maybe from the perspective of new fresh graduates, like what is the trend? Are they positioning, like from maybe just your perspective, are they positioning themselves to a point where they're able to somehow secure sponsors or these mentors who will be able to, you know, mention their names in the room? What is your feel about that?
Yes, we have some graduates that are always wanting to stretch themselves. They don't want to relax. They want to be part of the solution of global problems. So you might find that there was a number of international sustainability events last year, and a few of our graduates put their hands up and they went to solve this problem. So obviously, even from my side, when I hear that there's an opportunity, those are the ones whose names come up to me all the time. And we also hear certain graduates that are working at Amandable, for example. I mean, if you've ever been to Amandable, it's a big operation. And if people don't know your name there, it means that you're intentionally going under the radar. And in that way, you're not going to, your name's not going to be mentioned by a sponsor. And, you know, there's a number of specialists that are interested in the development of graduates. They've been through your journey and they want to give you a hand up. But if your hand is not outstretched, you know, you're going to miss that opportunity. So I think when we're sitting in career development panels, as the early talent team, we often hear certain graduates being mentioned consistently because the work that they deliver, you give them work and you don't have to check up on them. And the work that they deliver is exceptional. And they don't make us relax as well. You know, there'll be a certain graduate that's always knocking on my door, sending me a Teams message. I don't know, my program is not structured, what's going on, or I'm done with this project, I'm ready to move. And you may feel that you're irritating us, but you're putting your name out there, you're putting yourself on the radar. And when opportunities come, you're the first one that we consider. So I think we also need to think about strategic mentors, because there are certain career specialists that are absolutely golden in terms of your technical expertise. But those people, they love to be in a little corner, like some of the geologists, they career geologists, they don't want to speak to anyone. They just want to do their thing, and you go and you get some sponsorship. I mean, you get mentorship from them, but they're not the kind of people that's going to transform your career. So you also need to think about a strategic mentor that can make decisions, that is a decision maker in the industry or within your business. Then I would also say that don't always play too far outside of your organization, because whether it's African Rainbow Minerals or Anglo Platinum, these are big ecosystems that if you try to navigate on your own, you won't be successful. So finding somebody internally makes a huge difference, because it doesn't help if you have Mpumi Zigalala, who's the CEO of Kumba, that's your mentor, but you don't have somebody inside your own organization that's familiar with the learning journeys and can make those decisions for you. Thanks, Ndamu.
Thank you so much for that, Hanifa. I see Shanae has a hand. Shanae?
Add to Hanifa and talk about the graduates that are very excited and go knocking on the door. And I think that also links to Lugusani saying, let your mentor see your potential. Go and knock and expect them to mentor you. And I think in Damu, we've mentioned many a times before, mentoring, it's not the mentor's job to mentor you, the mentee. It's the mentee's responsibility to actually go and ask for things and go and say, I have this program, this is how far I've progressed, this is what needs to be done, how, when, to actually action it yourself to get that development, and you'll also then be seen with the potential that this person is eager to learn.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shani. And you spot on. And it's our responsibility as mentees to say, hey, I need help. Obviously I've chosen you as my mentor, but you take accountability, responsibility of that relationship. The maintenance of it, it's all on you. Let's see, we have a question in the chat. It said, how does one maneuver a situation where your mentor is supportive of your growth or development while your immediate supervisor is holding you back? Does any of our panelists like to go for it?
That's a really good question.
I was typing on this one. I'd already, if I can go and
yeah,
I had already written here that obviously, depending on the situation, that's something they can also discuss with the mentor, because mentors help with things like those as well, to say this supervisor is holding me back on this or is not supportive here. Then because it's coffee session, it's an hour, they will come up with different strategies around it. But I think in the main, it's to understand why this supervisor is not supportive of your growth or development, to understand why. And what do you mean by supportive? Is it because they don't give you time to study or to go study or to go to the right exam? Is it because they don't put you on programs? I mean, what led you to saying they are not supportive? Is it because they speak bad about you? So I think it's important what criteria we use to say they are not supportive. In addition to that, to understand why we think maybe they are not supportive. Sometimes it's very difficult for your immediate supervisor to appear supportive, because remember, their excellence and their work depends on you. So if you come late, you're affecting their performance. You leave early, you're affecting their performance. You're always at school, you're affecting their performance. So it's to understand why we say they are not supportive. Because if you work for the mentor, you might find that the mentor is not supportive, because it's the mentor the supervisor sees you differently. You are a resource to them. You understand? So it's to understand you well. But if it's valid things like they are jealous or some ill reason, something that is really not profound or not fair, that then obviously, even if you didn't have a mentor, those are things that you need to address, either through HR or through moving to other roles or other departments or confronting them, But you need to have strategies of addressing why this immediate supervisor is not supportive, because in the long run, especially in mining is very small, very, very small. So if you're in mining, your supervisor is not supporting you, they're going to hire you in the future. So find out why they don't support you. Try and, and do something that will then make them support you. Or otherwise, if they are just a lost cause, then unfortunately, we don't leave jobs, we leave supervisors. And there are some supervisors who must be left. So I think it's to understand why we're saying the person is not supportive, and then understand why they are not supportive, then put strategies on your side to do something first. What is in your locus of control? What can you do to better remedy the relationship? For example, if it's studying that you want to study and part-time and so on, if they have not studied, or they only have grade 12, or they just work their way out, sometimes just don't understand why you need an MBA, So that's why now I say you need strategies to either study part-time or move to another department, or be strategic that the next department or this person where I can study. I mean, when I did my MBA, I didn't know that I'm doing that, but for some reason I moved to Sasol mining. That's one of the, in mining, that's one of the few places where you can do your MBA. They would push you to do your MBA. I don't understand how in South Africa I just happened to move to the country with to the company that supports MBA at the right time. And I've been around to other mines. I've listened to the stories. People have their reasons why they don't support education. I'm using education as an example. So let's understand why we say they are not supportive, and let's put strategies first around that. And if it's not working, then you need to rotate, or do something that will create a growth environment around you, but also discuss it with the mentor. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I see we missed one question. I'm not sure but we have answered this partly. It says, does the same concept of finding a mentor also apply in finding your niche in the mining industry? Because I believe finding your niche is the easiest journey. Does one remain resilient? And at what point does one get to see that, yep, this is for me? Angelique?
I think, 𝗠𝗏𝗻, I actually wanted to add on the previous comments, but yeah, I think one thing when it comes to let me just close off my thoughts on the previous question, and then I'll move to this one. I think when you're challenged, a quicker way to try and bridge a challenge with a supervisor that's not supporting you. I agree with everything that's been said so far, and you do need to walk that journey. But it's also important to realize that our supervisors are also people, and they also have their niches, and they also have their likes and dislikes. Certainly, having a conversation with them about what's the challenges will go a long way. But another thing that I found particularly helpful in my career is connecting on common ground or common passion. So if you have a supervisor that's challenging, and for example, I've had a supervisor that's really really passionate about emergency preparedness, so I would approach them and say, I've noticed within the department, this and this and this challenge is existing in this space. And it almost fosters that ice to be broken with the supervisor. You get the input from them, and then you start to build the relationship. So I think that's just one little piece of advice I would give towards a challenge supervisor. All the rest does apply. You can only do it to a certain point, and if it's toxic, you probably need to actually move on to find the supervisor that will support you going further. I think, 𝗠𝗏𝗻, just refresh me on the current question, and then let me take that one.
Let me try find it. Yes, the same. Does the same concept of finding a mentor also apply in finding your niche in the mining industry? Because they believe finding your niche is the easiest journey. And does one remain resilient? And at what point does one get to see that, yes, this is for me?
It's a good question. So I think to some extent it is the same, but remember we're going to that portion as well that says being the yes person. Because when you start your career, your understanding of components of your technical journey is this fold, right? You know, you're sort of like a jack of all trades within that technical discipline. But as you get to meet new people, build mentorships, build sponsorships, and that you get to interact with people with a broad range of niches, right? And potentially even something outside your technical discipline. I mean, one of those for me was finding obviously my passion for developing others. But you will definitely need to be the yes person again to try and get as much exposure as possible. Not only for, you know, the networking portion, which is going to follow you through your entire career journey, but also for finding your own place and space that says, you know, I really, really, really love this, and I would love to give more of my attention to this. And generally, when you do find your niche mentor, same thing, you actually get energy back from these kind of relationships. They are not usually energy draining. That's just something that I found in my career. You know, the sparks go off and you feel excited. So a good sign is if you're starting to deal with something that's particularly challenging within your career, but it's exciting you, then you sort of probably walking the right path.
Yeah, for sure, I agree with that, Angelique. Because also I think maybe okay, I have mining engineering training background. So when I joined the mining industry, I thought I was just gonna go into production, but then at that point, there were no opportunities for the production route. So I decided to join the ventilation route, environmental engineering. At the beginning, I thought, no, 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 I must be a miner. I must be a mine manager. I must be a mine captain. That's what I want to be. But as the journey unfolded, I was able to somehow pick up a liking for what I'm doing now. And within this discipline, I'm also still able to say I'm sort of finding my niche as well within the same discipline of ventilation and occupational hygiene. Because obviously it's this huge big discipline, but in there's a specialty that you can still go for. So I would say to I forgot the name, wherever you are, I don't know which industry you're in, but you also just need to look at what can you do, what excites you, as Angelique has rightfully said there, what excites you in that discipline. Maybe you can just start from there, look at what really, you know, puts a smile on your face when you're working on it. Yeah. Thank you for that, Angelique. I think at this point, I would like for us to just deviate, but it's just adding on to this conversation. You know, networking. Maybe we need to just elaborate on the importance of being affiliated with professional bodies. You mentioned that you are part of the Mining Ventilation Society. You're the first chairperson in the Northern female chairperson in the Northern branch. Just the benefits of being affiliated with professional bodies.
Yeah, wow. You know, I started my journey with MVS, which is our affiliation, in 2012. And I was still very junior, you know, but and sort of dedicated my time from there onwards. I've been part of the committee and chairperson. It's really allowed me to be able to approach challenges within the industry, but to really meet people that have either the same challenges as me, the same passions as me. So it does foster that network. And then I don't have to feel so alone when I'm really struggling with things. You know, I can pick up the phone and say, you know, we were talking about this conversation in the information sharing. You had some good comments about it. You know, what is your thoughts on how to tackle this challenge? So it really does build networks. I am a big advocate that you should try and be part of affiliations. or even other bodies within the industry that can support you having, building a system that can also help you through your challenges, and as well building that sponsorship. You know, as I mentioned, some sponsorship comes from within your organization, but other sponsorship comes from outside your organization and your professional journey as a total person.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, Angelique. I see Rugisani is busy nodding there. Rugisani, do you want to add?
Yeah, I'm also reading the messages, but repeat the question for me so I'm just precise. I was following the question, the messages here on the chat. But just if you can, I think you're talking about networking, right? Just if you can just repeat the question again.
Yes. So the question was, you know, the importance of fresh graduates or somebody who's been in the industry. Let's just look at what are some of the benefits that comes with being affiliated with the professional body.
Yeah, it comes down to that old adage to say, remember, iron sharpens. In the professional field, yes, you might have a degree, but it's a whole concept actually around life that if we cannot be an island, that's as a professional, it's even worse. You really cannot be an island. You need colleagues, you need a team, and you need people. I think someone said it that yes, mentor inside the organization and outside, but you need to interact with people outside your organization. And this is why I'm so glad for a platform like this, because you might be from Anglo Platinum, but you're interacting with experience from different organizations. So it's important to be in a network or to be in a professional body. In fact, it keeps you sharp, it keeps you up to date, it shows you different perspectives, it grows you. So if you want to grow in your career, you must definitely have a professional body that you're part of. And that's why in interviews, people will ask you, what professional body are you part of? On the CV, the main thing they are looking for, they want to see if you are growing, if you are relevant, you are up to date, if you can work with other people, if you can share information. So I mean, one of the best things, people like to register for degrees and so on. But even when you register there for degrees, actually the main reason to go to places like GIBS and MBA, the best learning doesn't come from the GIBS lecturers. It comes from the people in the class with you. So that's why it's important to be in that XI, to be in that Sakia, AMRE, whatever organization, HR, whatever field you are in, it's criminal not to be part of a professional body. And that's why I try and tell your employers to allow you once in 3 months, once in 6 months. You can't go a year working at a mine and you don't go to meet a community of your peers. It makes you blunt. So that's importance of networking. Iron sharpens iron.
Sure. Thank you for that, Lugisani. I'd like to bring in Dr. Amo into this conversation because I think earlier she mentioned that she has diversified, you know, her skills. She started as occupational and then ventilation, and then now she's looking at, you know, your safety, health, risk, and quality. So, Dr. Amo, I'm not sure if you're still with us. Yes, so I wanted to just maybe pick your thoughts on what where is that question now? Where did I write that? You know, how do you maintain a balance? How do you maintain a balance when you're trying to be this to be a global learner, a global student where you now want to know a bit about everything? How do you maintain that balance? Yeah. Okay, I think Dr. Amu is still occupied. Hanifa, would you like to go for it?
Sorry, I was following Lungisani's chats. Please repeat the question.
Yeah, I wanted to just know how do you balance the need to specialize in certain areas, you know, with the necessity to maintain a holistic or a broad view or understanding of the industry. Yeah.
Sure. I think in the early careers, we should really stick to what we're doing. For example, you know, with mining engineering, you either get into production, rock engineering or ventilation, and choose one path and stick to it. So, you know, I had a graduate that has a high curiosity quotient. So he did his strata control officer ticket. He is a mining engineer. He was interested in planning, and he satisfied each of those curiosities. But he's still in the graduate program for the longest time. Very highly intelligent, cum laude graduate. But the problem is they want to have a lot of curiosity in different fields. So my advice is usually in your early careers, stick to the thing that you are designed to do. And then later that will become the leverage for you to go into other areas of specialization. So your primary areas for specialization, focus on it. And then later you can augment it with different skills. So I think these days you're finding young people are learning digitalization skills. So you would find a mining engineer that wants to move into business improvement, for example. So you can then move that to a very niche area of specialization, or you may want to get into banking or other modern ways that mining engineers ply their trade. But in your initial 3 years out of university, you know, be very, very focused, you know, capital F for focus, be ruthless with that. And then, you know, 70% of your learning is on the job. Take that opportunity. 20% is through the networks and through the mentorships, and then 10% is through theory. So, you know, apply that formula in that first 3 years, and then afterwards you get the leverage of going beyond that. But if you try too soon to do too many things, you stretch yourself so thin and you become a jack of all trades and a master of none, and it makes it difficult for employers to select you. Although having a high curiosity quotient is very good, it lends you to creativity, and it increases your technical knowledge. But where you can, try to stay focused. That would usually be my advice. And then after that, it becomes a currency within which you negotiate later positions of specialization. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hanifa. I see Dr. Amu is back. So, Dr.
Yes,
Amu, I'm not sure if you got the question.
yes, I did get a question. So Hanifa stepped into it while I was about to answer, but I'm glad that she actually came before me, because truth, one thing that she mentioned is that don't be jack of all trades. It's very important. But there's also something that Angelique mentioned when she was responding, to say that initially in the early stages of your career, you know, you understand a little bit of this and that and that, but you actually don't understand or know exactly what you're going to follow. In occupational hygiene, for example, we've got different stressors and all that. We've got noise, we've got thermal stressors and all that. But for me, my niche is airborne pollutants. I need to understand that how does the overall full life cycle of exposure and its assessment work around for airborne pollutants. So someone might want to specialize on thermal stress, someone want to specialize on noise, someone want to specialize on ventilation. So there's different aspects. So choose what works for you. Choose that one topic that makes you want to jump out of the bed. You know, so if I receive an email and it's about airborne pollutants, I want to wake up at 12 o'clock at night and read that article and say, how can I apply this in my workspace? So you need to actually find that. But in terms of integration, again, so for me, what I have actually learned, especially being in an occupational hygiene space and then transitioned into sheer risk management, is that most of our mining solutions, they require integration. And again, I'll bring in the issue of affiliations. So as a vent engineer, I'm affiliated with MVS, I'm affiliated with SIO, but I also attend your AMSAs, I attend your AMRAs, because for our occupational hygiene solutions, we need engineers. So for me to be able to get collaboration and integration, I actually almost need to understand that I need to work with different professions, or to actually find the mining solutions. So as much as I'm in the integration space, it might not work for all of us. For example, for MRM teams, someone might need to only focus on mine economics, and they cannot do economics and ventilation. So it depends. You need to actually establish where what you are passionate about plays a role, and then build your career around that. So if I can take Angelique tomorrow and say you need to go and hit occupational hygiene, she might be able to quickly transition to that because it is interlinked with ventilation with what she does now. So it's very important to actually understand what you want, what you are good at, and understand that you cannot be jack of all trades. At the end of the day, you need to specialize. That is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those insights, Doc. Um, I'd like us to look at, I think we mentioned in passing networking. I would like to just hear maybe from you, Dr. Almo, what are some of the, some of the strategies that you are confident in using, when you're at a networking event to say, this is how I approach people. This is your default strategy. I think a lot of us struggle with just interacting with people we don't know, and I'm sure there's a lot of us in this call that say, I don't even know how I'm supposed to approach people I do not know in networking events. How do you go about that?
So generally, I'm a very quiet person. So if I'm in a room and it's filled up with people, I'll identify one or two people. You always need to measure the energy levels of the people around the room, and then just introduce yourself, and then just measure. I always measure the energy that, okay, I can resonate to this person, and then I pick up conversations. You'll notice that when you pick up one person, another person will come and join you, and then the conversation grows bigger and all that. But I actually always normally go for one person that I feel my energy levels can relate to. It's easier within our field in occupational hygiene and ventilation because I almost know everyone, so I can pick conversation with almost anyone. And because we have related topics, we have similar challenges, it's easy to pick up on whatever is trending in the industry and then talk through that. But if I'm outside of my comfort zone, like we're on AmRace or on AmSAS and all that, I'll start with that one person that I feel that my energy resonate with this person. And then we pick the conversations, and that's it. But I always make sure that at least I target 5 people, because for each person that you connect with, they know someone else, and then someone else knows someone else, and then your network grows bigger like that. So always start small. If you are like me, you are shy and quiet, and then just grow your network from those 5 people that you have identified. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Doc. And I think this has sort of answered Karabo. I think Karabo's question was around how do I approach people to us? How do I what are the things that you can do to assist me with meeting people that will be able to assist? It's you going out to this networking events as well. You being on LinkedIn, leveraging on LinkedIn. Yeah, I think those are some of the. You just need to put yourself out there to meet people in your field, and also join professional bodies. Yes. And if I saw you nodding the whole time when Dr. Alm was talking, do you want to jump in?
No, I think, yeah, all the panelists really resonated for me. But yeah, I was in the chat again and I forgot what I was nodding at so vigorously. Yeah, but I think, yeah, then I really, really believe in networking events. So even if the company that you are working for doesn't want to pay for your membership, most of the memberships are not more than 1,000 Rand, and it's an investment in your own self. And that 12-month membership then gives you access to networking events. And I'm really, really an advocate of that. And yeah, I think I was laughing because introverts are very introverted until they find other introverts. So during these networking events, you find other scientists and you just cannot stop connecting. So even if you're a very introverted person and you don't want to go to these events, these networking events or these society meetings, just go and you're going to find your person that's also in the corner of the room, and you're both going to spark something off. And as I said before, somebody was asking, how do I find a mentor? It's also during these society events, whether it's the Engineering Council of South Africa or AMRI. and you find influential people from other organizations that you can then sign up as a mentor, or you can also become a mentor as well. So yeah, I'm really an advocate of these networking and societies as well. If you can, the company can pay for one, join another one at your own cost.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
I have a contribution.
Let's give Shanae a chance first, and then we'll come to you, Ruxan.
Thank you, Ndamo. I just want to latch on to Hanifa's and talking about societies. And I think this platform exactly, and I see Raksha have already also responded, is WIMSA has a lot of these free events where you network, not just within someone in the same career path as you, but actually much more bigger space where you can meet business people and you can meet ventilation, geology, engineering, and you can really talk about what is interesting to you, networking, handing out your business cards or your information to share that information, connecting with each other. And then I also want to say, after everyone has commented, I see one of the questions that keep popping up is how and where can I find good mentors? So I think we've mentioned about networking, going to these events, but then also maybe in Ndamo, the question can be raised to say, how do I identify a good mentor? Who's a possible mentor for me? So maybe that's just a question that we can ask the panelists as well.
Rugisane? Thank you, Shanae.
Should I comment on the good mentor as well?
Yes.
Okay, but let me start here on I wanted to say contribute something from what Dr. said. Dr. Amos said. She was talking about it's important to network because people are connected to other people. I've actually written here on the comment 6 degrees of separation theory. I think people are studying a lot here, so they will know this. There's a theory called 6 degrees of separation. You can Google it. So what this theory says is everybody in this world, you are 6 people away from them. Everybody. You can mention 𝗠𝗲𝗁𝗁𝗂𝗃 or whoever you want to mention, or even if it's global leaders, but everyone is 6 people away from you. So you need to think of who you want as a mentor, or who you want to be exposed to, or who you want to interact with, because ultimately they say what? We become like the top 5 people we spend our time with. So you are an average of the top 5 professionals you spend your time with. So I wanted to contribute to say it's important to network, because if you want to talk to the president of the country, you are 6 people away from them. You want to talk to your CEO, your CFO, or the Nobel Prize winner in your area, you are 6 people away. So really the power of networking is immense, because you connect the nodes of people, you connect the node of the skills, and that's why we must always interact, because it's like friendship. Have you ever had a friend? Now they introduce you to a friend, you become closer to the friend more than this your friend, and that's the power of networking. So you never know what comes by meeting people and connecting and with people that you share interests with. But I wanted us to take out of this the 6 degrees of separation theory, so that we can respect networking, because just like that, you are 6 people away from anyone. But there's a question here about who is a good mentor. So I think from an abstract point of view, we need to look at why. We must start with the why, so that we can answer who's the good mentor. But if you start with the why, then you see that a good mentor is a person who can assist you in becoming a better person, a better professional, a better engineer, a better manager, a better scientist. That is a good mentor to you, tailor-made to you. And that person obviously needs to have time for you, needs to have content for you, needs to expose you, needs to challenge you, sometimes put you out of your comfort zone, need to think for the best for you. It's not a spoon feeding, but it's a person that when you do input, for every input, you get an output. A good mentor is like an ATM. As long as you've put your pin there, your card there, and there's You gotta put the right pin. If you are doing the right thing, the money must come out. That's a good mentor, you know. So you first have to invest the input. And if you're putting in the right input, if there's reciprocacy in terms of what the deliverables you need, then that's a good mentor. But it's also important to bear in mind that it's not a spoon feeding, it's a professional relationship. They want you to be better. So sometimes some things that they're doing right might be good for you in the long run. But also I want to say, I don't know if I should say that, but I like to say things that stick, but there's something called GIGO in programming. I'm sure we know it. Garbage in, garbage out, GIGO. So it's very much to think of input, output when we do relationships in general, but also the mentorship relationship. So who's a good mentor for me? It's a person that adds value to me, but to define it, they have time for me, they respect my time. They don't just, I'm here now. I came out of an exco session. I told my boss before, and the exco session was not done, but because I respected this session, I moved out. I came out. I probably missed the last hour or 80, last 1 hour, 30 minutes. Why am I saying this? You need a mentor who can drop things because they respect your time as well. Because you don't want a mentor who sees you as a trainee forever. It must click in this mentor. You're going to be a professional, a manager, a somebody. I told you about 𝗔𝗆 𝗏𝗡𝗃. I mean, in my early years, he used to, as men in mining, we've got things, but he used to call, hey, my boss. I say, boss, why do you call me my boss? You need people that can see you in the future, 10 years, 20 years from now. That's a very good mentor. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you so much, Lugisani. Thank you. I'm sure a lot of questions were answered here today, and we're almost nearing the end of our session. Yeah, this has been quite an informative session. Quite informative. And maybe Angelique, maybe we could start with you, your parting words. What is it that you would like, maybe you would like for us to leave with out of this session?
It's the journey is long. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You don't need to know everything from the get-go. And this certainly, because of our thinking around this, it sort of prevents us from going out there and expecting the best mentor to have in our journey. So don't allow that. Get on top of it, get a mentor as soon as possible, put your all into the relationship, and I'm sure you're going to be really rewarded for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Angelique. They should be reward. I think this relationships are very rewarding. I think most of us can testify words. Hanifa?
Oh, sorry, you were breaking up. I think we must all just be like Nike and just do it. If you don't have a mentor at this time, within 3 months' time, you need to get a mentor. And don't ruminate to say, oh, who's the best mentor in my field, and Google and go to LinkedIn. Reach out to somebody, break your virginity with mentorship, get there and experience it and get rejected and find another mentor, as Mr. Nefale said. But just do it. Don't overthink it. It's not that deep. And then once you get out there, you find more mentors, one for technical, one for soft skills. Yeah, just do it.
Just do it, guys. Let's just go out there and do it. Thank you, Hanifa. Dr. Almo.
Thank you very much, first and foremost, for the invitation. I have learned a lot from the other panelists in the program tonight. So my parting words is find your niche, find your mentor, be accountable and responsible, and also ensure that you maintain those mentorship as you move along your journey. And always take note that your next level of your career will require a different kind of mentor. So it's an ongoing journey. because you're always preparing yourself to get to the level above, and that requires different set of mentors. So make sure that you keep looking, you maintain, and you take accountability of your journey. But yeah, it was nice having everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Rugisani, your parting words?
I'll start with Venek. I'm vendor speaking, so I'll first say it in vendor. I do these things intentionally so that they can stick. I've even written them on the text box here. So if you don't know how to speak vendor, at least you can wow the people tomorrow if you are working with some vendor speaking people. So my parting shot will be Mwana Urai Wandirani. Mwana is a child. So a child is given good advice. A child is given good mentorship on the streets or along the way, on the streets. Yeah. So that's what I say. A child is given good advice in the streets. That's an African proverb. But I want us to realize that there's a lot of wisdom in this proverb. So if many years ago, before school in Africa, our ancestors were saying a child is given advice in the streets, you can imagine how important mentorship is. So if you are Zulu, you are Xhosa, you are Pedi, years ago, before school, your ancestors knew mentorship is important. So if anything, just do it as a traditional thing. It's very African to have a mentor because a child is raised in the street. That's the first parting shot. The second, in England, I have to say one in English. It's if I've seen feather, it's because I stood in the shoulders of giants. It's a very competitive world out there. When we are speaking like this, it feels like you can go out and be a GM, a CEO tomorrow. But the real world is tough and you need to be competitive. One of the things that will give you a competitive edge is a mentor. You will never see further than your peers if you don't have a mentor. So if you want to see far, find a mentor, stand on their shoulder. You will get very far in life. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think words fail me. This has been such an insightful session. I'm not sure if Raksha wants to say something before we close.
Yeah,
Raksha?
sure. Happy to. Guys, this has really been so incredibly insightful. I'm sure I speak for every single person on this that we've learned so much from everyone. The energy, the inspiration, the knowledge, and so many takeaways. I'm not sure which one was my favorite, probably the one about the horse. But yeah, really, really great, guys. So thank you so much to all our panelists. And Ndamu, excellent job. Well done. Yeah, but I think Shanae echoed it. We're a free platform. We're here to support women in this industry. We're here to help you find mentors in the space. So reach out to us, guys. We all are here to help. And if we can assist and as best we can, we 100% will do so. So thank you very much for a great session.
Thank you. Thank you. Shanae?
Yeah, just job well done, Damilelo. And then thank you so much to the panelists. I've also learned a lot. It's really been an amazing session, and this recording will be published also on the YouTube page for WIMSA. And go and like Women in Mining South Africa on LinkedIn, as well as connect with all of the panelists tonight and reach out to them. Really appreciate that all of the panelists have been answering in the chat box as well. That's very interactive. And yeah, maybe just if we can ask some of the participants to also just say if they've really enjoyed the tonight's session, that would be great. So do we have anyone from the session?
Don't be shy.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, thank you. Thanks a lot for this engagement. Really insightful, because a lot of times we find ourselves bottling in and thinking you've got this on your own until you realize really you could do with mentorship. And it's really sometimes difficult to actually engage and open up to people, especially if you are at an environment where it seems like there isn't really such platforms. So there is a lot that was mentioned that actually gives one the comfort to say, be out there, say it, because people will not know if you don't raise your hand and say, hi, I'm here. You know, if you bottle up and keep it to yourself, it's not going to happen. So, like, be proactive as well. Thanks a lot for this kind of platform. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for your feedback. I hope that's the feeling throughout the room in here. I think from my side, I've really learned a lot, and thank you so much for participating. Thank you to the panelists for taking your time and being here. It really means a lot to me first, and to the team, Wimza, and I'm sure everyone else shares the same sentiments. Humbrani? I see Humbrani has a hand up. Humbrani, are you there? Okay, maybe it's a legacy hand. Yeah. So I would like to say thank you so much, and I will leave you with a quote from 𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏 says, "Find a great mentor who believes in you. Your life will change forever." So let's go out there. If you don't have a mentor yet, go find one. Today, this great panelists have showed you how they found their mentor, how they went about it. So please take the notes and go try to, rehearse. And next time we meet up, maybe you'll be telling us you have found a mentor, and we move on to the next topics on how do we maintain all of these relationships going forward. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Bye.